your host, Sophia, and my guest today is Joe Rose. Joe is a empowerment coach for women, a keynote speaker, and she helps women to reconnect with their authentic selves. So, thank you for being here today, Joe.
Oh, thank you, Sophia, for having me here. So delighted.
So, I have to ask because I love your name, and when we were talking before, I thought Joe Rose was one name, like just like, if somebody had a middle name and they just used their first and middle name. So it turns out that Rose is your last name, but then there is a story around that. So can you tell us the story around your last name, Rose?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's an interesting story. I chose it myself, as you asked me, was that my married name or my maiden name? So I was married from I was 19, twice to the same person, and I divorced him twice also. So when I left my marriage the second time, I had repeated that pattern twice, and I really wanted to shift that energy and to move forward from a really positive place. So I worked with a numerologist to change my name. So I'm very much about the energy. My son will tell you when I talk about energy, he rolls his eyes. So yeah, I had this amazing numerologist referred to me, and we looked at, so I love numerology anyway, absolutely love it. And so I'm a life path 9, which is humanitarian, and we wanted to really find something that was the right energy for me and what I wanted my life to look like, and to make sure that we cut that karmic debt and there were no repeat patterns. So I worked with her and we came up with Rose. And I worked with her for my business name as well to make sure everything was in alignment. So yeah, there it is, Joe Rose.
I love that. And it's such a, you are an empowerment coach, and it is so empowering to have gone ahead and chosen your name because many of us don't have, well, I mean, we all have an opportunity, but we don't see the opportunity to change our name to something that is in alignment with
Yeah.
who we are and what we want to do. Oh, I happen to like my name and I don't know that I'm going to ever change it. So there's that. But
Yeah.
I think it's just, again, just really empowering that you said, you know what? I was born with a name. I changed that name to someone else's name. And because of the energy that's carried with that name and the patterns and all the things, I'm going to create something that's just mine.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So that actually takes me into my next question of how you actually got to be where you are as a coach.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, my background is in social work. So I've worked with um people with very complex needs and challenging situations. And I always wanted to work more therapeutically. And so, whoa, it was way back in 2007 or 8, I came across an article in a magazine about life coaching, and I'd never heard of it before that. And I just knew that's what I wanted to do. However, um, I was, both through my social work and the coaching, I was helping other people, but I wasn't really applying what I knew to myself. So I wanted other people to feel better, but I wasn't doing what I needed. So very tragically in 2012, I lost my sister,
Okay.
and she actually had been really struggling with a lot of challenges, and she didn't believe that she could change her life. So that, as I say, was a really heartbreaking time, but it was also a huge wake up call for me because I wasn't making the choices that were right for me. I actually was in a very controlling marriage, as I say, for the second time. And that's not to blame anyone else because I was making the choices. Um, so, we've got to take personal responsibility. So although it took me still a long time before I left that marriage, um, that was a huge turning point for me, that we can make different choices. We can change our lives, but we've got to choose it. And as women, we tend to put everyone else first. And, I know for me, I thought I was doing the right thing for my kids, but actually, I was teaching them to tolerate behavior that wasn't acceptable, to put themselves in second place to that behavior and all of those things, but we're all on our own individual journey. So I actually, from suppressing myself so much, then developed anxiety and depression and fibromyalgia. So it was coming out physically then in my body.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, my husband at the time was showing me very clearly all the things that should have been the warning signs, but I got to a point where literally I had a choice of, you've now got to give up everything that's important to you and choose me, or you choose yourself and what you feel is your purpose and passion here. And so that's what I did. So I walked away from my home, my marriage, my professional career at that time, and said, I'm going full in here and I'm going to make a success of this, and I'm going to help other women to make the choices that are right for them too. Because actually, the ripple effect that then has, that other people get to choose themselves. And yeah, it's just amazing. When we take the scary steps, yeah, good things happen. So I know that was a long story, but yeah, that's
Well, no, not that long. And I'm going to ask you a question, and you can feel free to let me know that you don't want to answer it. But the question is, what made you decide to marry the same person twice? You let go once. What made you decide to go back the second time?
great questions, Sophia. Because the first time I married him was about expectations of other people. We were very young, 19 and 20,
Mhm.
and we had a young baby. So I came from a very religious family. And yeah, so there was lots of expectation and guilt and all sorts of things tied to that. And so even though I knew it wasn't the right thing then, I married him. We were very young, didn't last very long. But one of my really high values in life is family
Okay.
and loyalty.
Mhm.
Yeah. And yeah, I just wanted to have that family together. So it was my desire for it to be something and those values that I was putting ahead of actually paying attention to what I knew, what I was worth, that I was worth a genuine loving relationship.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I'd been on my own with my daughter for 7 years, and I guess I was lonely. I'm sure there'd be lots of women that can relate to that. They'd be
Yeah.
lonely, kind of better the devil you know type thing.
Yeah.
Plus, he was the father to my daughter. So yeah, and he made lots of promises and all of that. And again, I felt as if I was doing the right thing, but I hadn't done any work,
Mm.
any growth work on myself. So I was just repeating the same pattern, you know. And yeah, that's not to say that our whole, because we were together then 20 years after that and had a son as well. you know, our whole life wasn't terrible, but yeah, I was becoming more and more shut down because that relationship was with me being someone who was prepared to comply and, shrink myself down. That relationship was suiting one person. Um, so yeah, all these things are lessons for us to learn on our journey.
Well, thank you so much for answering that, because that was very vulnerable to do, um, to share something so personal. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I love what you said about the ripple effect, because when you gave yourself permission to say, you know what, I am worth it. I want to live the life that I want to live, that other people saw this, and it's like, "Oh, okay. Well, now her life is giving me permission to live my life."
Mhm.
So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is, and you don't see that because, we get caught up in how our decision might impact other people. It's gonna upset the status quo and, maybe I'm just here to make sure everybody else is okay. Those are the kind of stories that were going on for me, and I'm sure many other people. But if you are unhappy, if you are struggling in yourself, if it's not serving you, that's information to
Mm.
pay attention to, and that doesn't serve anyone. And as women, I think, when we choose ourselves and show up from love for ourselves first and then others, that has a huge impact. And I know I very quickly seen, although I was worried about the impact on my children, even though they were grown up, my son was still at home, my daughter wasn't. But they made massive shifts after that as well that I couldn't see when I was in the worry about how it would impact them. It's really, well, some things we've just got to release to trust,
Yeah.
for everybody's journey.
And one of the things I really like about that too is for the longest while, I think something that we don't always recognize is that the people around us are watching us.
Yeah.
So if we are being treated in a certain way, then they think, okay, well, I'm looking up to this person. And if this is the way they're being treated, then maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. And, as my life goes on, then this is what I've seen. So this is what I do. And breaking a pattern like that is, I guess, one of those things that they talk about is breaking generational patterns.
Yeah.
Because when you crack that, then your daughter
Yeah.
now has a different perspective on things. And it's like, oh, okay, mom is showing me now a different way. So if she ever has kids, and I don't know if she has kids or not, but if she ever has kids, then now she says, oh, okay, well, now I'm empowered to make these other decisions. And then they get to watch her. So what you
Yeah.
did without probably even knowing it in the moment was just change your downline.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's always a bigger picture that, we can't see. And, a huge learning for me, Sophia, was that I was feeling really unseen, unheard, unappreciated, all of those things. But I wasn't giving any of that to myself. As
Mm,
you say, people are watching, and how you treat yourself and expect to be treated tells other people what's okay. So
right.
I mean, I am someone who always takes personal responsibility for my situation and the choices that I'm making.
Hmm.
And yeah, so that was a huge thing. It's like, well, the first person that needs to see you and hear you and give you your worth is you. So yeah, yeah.
So how did you start to do that for yourself?
Well, I was on a, a huge spiritual journey. I remember, so we had a static home by the sea, holiday home. And I remember being there on my own and feeling like just I was in this repeat pattern. And I literally was said out loud, oh my goodness, why do I keep repeating this pattern? I need help. I need some business coaching. I need maybe to update my coaching in some way, but I need coaching as well.
Hmm.
And so this was what I was thinking, this is what I need. And I got it. A program showed up for me that gave all of that. And an added part of it that I wasn't expecting was the spiritual journey that I was about to go on. Because as I said, I grew up in a very strict religious family. And because of things in my life, I'd kind of shut that side of myself down and put that to the side.
Mm,
And so when I went and just experienced these amazing people in business and coaches and all the rest who were really connected to their spiritual gifts and all of this. And I was blown away and I was thinking, I don't deserve to be here.
Mhm.
And it just really opened things up for me. And yeah, so that was when I started to see my worth and I suppose who I truly and authentically am very differently. And when I started to experience that, then the contrast of how I was being treated and what I was accepting, I suppose, in my marriage became
Mhm.
so much more apparent. It was, whoa, it was such a clash, and it couldn't be ignored, you know.
Well, I love that you brought up you were in a room and said, "I don't deserve to be here." And the reason that I am highlighting that piece is because I think a lot of women, a lot of successful women are step into rooms and secretly believe that they don't deserve to be there. And those are the rooms that are calling you. Those are
Mm.
the rooms that you're meant to be in. Yet, because of whatever programming we've had, because we, as women, so much programming,
Yeah.
home training, so you have your family expectations ex and well, just training, and then you have societal expectations and conditioning and cultural
Mhm.
expectations and conditioning. So you're up against all of this
Mhm.
and then you're expected to be perfect. So I deal a lot with good girl syndrome, just to put a
Yeah.
name on it, because all the things, perfection and being the good girl, not speaking up, standing back and helping everybody else before you help yourself. Those are all things that a lot of women deal with, and they
Mhm.
come with belief patterns like, I'm not worthy, or I don't belong here, or I don't deserve to be here. And so I'm going to have to, and you may not have an answer for this because I know sometimes things happen so subtly that you don't know what the catalyst is. But what if you could think about it and put words to it? What was the thing or the things that changed so that you finally said, "Yes, I deserve to be here. I deserve to be in this room. I deserve to be around these people."
I think it was that very much a different perspective on worth. That, there's no question about your worth. It's not attached to anything outside of you at all. It just is. So, I know for me now, I have that narrative more, well, I deserve to be here, um, you know, I've been on quite a journey from then. So, we're all connected and the things that we think divide us and make someone better and everything, that's not true. Well, it's true for us if that's the story that we're living in. But what made me deserve to be in that room? I think I allowed myself to not have to know everything, to not put pressure on myself, and just allow myself to learn.
Mm,
So that's huge for me. I just to allow myself to be me and to learn from people, to not have to have some kind of that perfectionist facade. That was a huge one for me that you mentioned that. And the good girl, not upsetting the narrative. I wouldn't even have shared my opinion in case it upset someone.
mhm.
So yeah, just allowing myself to be there and to learn, and that, you know, I was as worthy of being there as anyone else. And that I had something to bring as well, and I don't think that was a decision that happened. That has been part of the journey,
Right.
but allowing myself to take those steps, and then noticing, I think reflecting on how you've navigated things in any day or week, I think is a huge thing in order to recognize how you have maybe, as you're growing, dealt with something differently than you would have before. So that is huge for me when I look back and I go, wow, in the past, I would have been so incredibly anxious. I'd have nearly been ill, or I'd have avoided doing that because,
Mm.
I didn't feel like I should be there. Whereas now, I kind of released myself from those pressures, you
Right.
know? They're self-created, and I just allow myself to be me. So, I mean, because what I had done, I was married to someone who wasn't aligned for me. Yes, there's a maybe a soul contract there that was part of my journey, but whenever you're pleasing other people, then you're not actually choosing or attracting your tribe, so to speak,
Mhm.
because you're pleasing everybody and suppressing possibly yourself. Whereas when you show up as authentically you and what's right for you from a positive, genuine intention, then the people that are not aligned for you, you can let them go. It's okay. It doesn't affect your worth. And I think that's a huge thing for all of us, but I think very much for women, because we've so much to bring. Yes, men have strength and, are great at strategy and all different things. But as women, we have knowing. We have knowing and we nurture and we bring people along. And yeah, so we need to show up for ourselves so that we can bring that to the different aspects of our life as well.
It really sounds to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like you had a complete identity switch. So you stepped into the identity of a woman who says, I am worthy and I belong. And that is a completely different identity from the woman who says, I'm just here to please everybody else.
Mm.
I'm here to take care of everybody else's needs. I'm here to not look at my own desires, but make sure everybody else's are fulfilled. So that's a completely different identity than the one who says, I belong in this room and I'm going to learn
Yeah.
and I'm going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think having an identity switch is huge because it's not just a change in behavior, it's a whole transformation
Hmm.
of who you are and who you believe yourself to be. So you've written a completely different story. So if you had once upon a time, there was this woman who, and she didn't live happily ever after. And now you have a new story.
Yeah.
Yeah, once upon a time, there's this woman who changed her identity and is on this amazing journey and the ending hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's no ending to continual journey. And do you know what? A huge part of that, Sophia, was whenever I walked away from my marriage and everything, I actually kind of left everything. I lived in a caravan for a year. I made a decision that I was going to let go of all of the expectations. Because I'd shut down so much, I had to like break free from this. And I lived in a caravan. I traveled around the world. I did the house and pet sitting as part of that journey. And I really let go of all of the things that we think are important or where we should be in our life,
Hmm.
that we attach ourselves to that aren't who we are or what the important thing is. So not that other people have to do that, but that was my journey.
Right.
In order to really be able to, well, step into my power or to see it, to feel it, to become it. So yeah, and then to bring that, to look at the journey I'd been on and to bring that as a path for other women gives it even more purpose, so it's powerful. So yeah, but yeah, I love how you put that yeah, when you look at it, it's like a whole identity shift.
So, okay, since so we've spoken about your transformation, let's talk a little bit about your travel. So you said that you've been around the world. What Well, and I kind of know the answer, but I'm going to let you tell us. What was the impetus behind saying, okay, now that I have let go of these things that haven't been serving me and I'm stepping into this new being?
Mhm.
What said then? Go travel the world.
So I think I decided to just live in my yes. So when opportunities or a desire, something showed up for me, if it felt like a yes, I did it. And so a lady that I'd met on the business program that I talked about that then had the unexpected spiritual journey. I'd never met her in person, and she's in Ontario in Canada, and she had said to me, "Fly out and meet me, and we'll travel through the US and Canada, and we'll do this." And I just went, "Okay." And I hopped on a plane and flew to meet her in Connecticut. And we traveled in the US, and then we went across to Canada and we traveled there. And then she left me at one point, and I did some time in Toronto in the city, and I'd only booked a one-way ticket. And my son flew out to meet me and spend some time with me there. And I think I was very much thinking, I I am going to do the things, you know,
Mm,
being now, a single woman doesn't stop me from doing the things. So I did a number of different things. So with that trip, I flew out to meet that amazing woman who's a really close friend of mine now. And I joined a solo travelers club, and I flew out and to Croatia, northern Croatia, and met up with a group of other people who were traveling solo, and we toured the north of Croatia. And I joined an over 50s women over 50 traveling group as well, and such inspirational stories on there from women and the things that they were doing. And yeah, then I booked a house and pet sitting 6 week sit in Spain, and I headed off to Spain for 6 weeks to look after 7 cats and this lady's home, and also the village cats. There were about 12 village cats that was part of the contract to look after as well. So I really was the cat lady. And so, yeah, I've just been saying yes to the things that felt like a yes. And oh my goodness, see, just again, it's that letting go of expectation and all the things that we attach importance to, seeing how other people live and getting to be in their space and see what they, bring importance to and the choices that they've made. Oh, it's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
Well, I like that whole idea of season of yes, and if it felt like a yes. So here's another question I'm going to ask. And if you don't have the answer to it, it's okay, because sometimes things come up intuitively that we can't necessarily explain.
Mhm.
But if you can, what does yes feel like to you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that knowing in your body that it's a yes, that it feels aligned. And I know, so I suppose I had, you know, already done some of the inner work because I was, that other identity. I was someone who, oh my goodness, definitely wasn't in that yes or in that trust, because I needed to know exactly how everything was going to work out.
Mm,
And, I really needed to control the narrative. I wasn't trusting myself to be able to deal with whatever came my way.
mm,
And so that's very much where I live now. So from that place, I I trust my own instincts and knowing of what is a yes and what feels off. That's just not right. And I very much trust that now. Even if it doesn't seem logical, I very much trust that now. Now, not irresponsibly, I still do all the things and that you need to do to make sure that you're sorted and you're safe and all of that. But it really is, it's a feeling in your body, and I think we really need to get out of our heads and drop down into our body and connect to that trust, because, that's where the information is. Our emotions, instead of being in them and caught in them, are information for us, so that's pretty powerful.
Okay. Two things I wrote down. So self-trust as opposed to control.
Yeah.
That that's huge
Yeah.
because I call myself a recovering control freak because yes, I completely understand wanting to control the entire narrative, knowing exactly what's going to come next, and have that step by step by step. You know, hold the plan. You got the plan. So I definitely understand that. And the other thing you spoke about was dropping into your body. And I
Mhm.
know for a lot of women, if they're in anything like me, hearing that, well, I understand it now, but hearing that before, I never, I get it never made sense to me. It's like, I'm in my body. I live in my body. It's like, what do you mean drop into your body? And I think so many times when we've gone on that spiritual journey and we've done the work, and it's easy because you start understanding what it means. But for somebody who hasn't been there, if you had to explain to someone, and again, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but if you had to explain to somebody, drop into your body, what would you tell them to do?
So, as someone who lived in her head, and I remember actually working with a spiritual coach, and she was telling me to drop down into my body, and she was very energetically connected, and she would have said, "No, don't think about dropping into your body," because I was still in my head trying to imagine dropping into my body.
Right.
So, yeah, so I suppose that probably the easiest way to do it is to feel into your heart. So your breath, yeah, the breath, breathing into your belly and then, feeling into your heart space, I think. Does that, if I was to say that to you, would that make a difference? Um,
Well, 'cause
I know, yeah. So, I
well,
mean,
'cause I do meditation with people
yeah,
and, so yes, to me,
yeah,
right now,
yeah,
totally makes sense because
yeah,
I get it. And but yes, the part about breathing
yeah,
is for me, that was one of the most important ways for somebody to explain how to
yeah,
drop into your body because you can really only breathe in the present. And if you breathe intentionally and pay attention to the breath without judgment,
yes,
then you're in your body
yeah,
because then you can notice what's
yeah,
happening. It's like, okay, I take this breath. What am I feeling in my belly? What am I feeling in my chest? What am I feel? So once you
hmm,
start asking yourself how your body's feeling as you're breathing and you're
yeah,
noticing without judgment,
yeah,
for me, that's how I learned to drop into my
yeah,
body
yeah,
because I had to be there in order
hmm,
to notice what was going on.
yeah,
So,
yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
yes, I like your
Yeah,
I like
well,
your explanation
yeah.
because I think also people need to hear things different ways
Hmm.
in order for it to finally click.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's, yeah, the breath, and as you said, the allowing without judgment is so important. Or trying to change it, just allow it. So yeah, when you say that, that definitely sparks for me what I would guide people to do, because I do some breath work and meditation as well. It's great to pull in different modalities that work for different people. Um I would bring their awareness to what they're feeling. So perhaps it's anxiety, and we know that our thoughts create the emotion, but what you probably first notice is what you're experiencing in your body. So bringing your awareness to it and then using the breath to be present and allow it. So not resisting it, because that can exacerbate it,
Right.
but allowing it. And then once you've allowed and, been present with it, then you can use your breath to start breaking through and to connect to more resourceful states. So what does calm, what is safety, what do those things feel like in your body, and you can actually feel what that feels like then. So when you learn then to feel safe in your body, then if something feels safe or doesn't feel safe, you know what that feels like. That's how
Mhm.
you can know your yes. So yeah, we've gone full circle. So yeah, I love that. It's such, even just the awareness of this, I think, is so powerful for everyone, to, because once you're aware, then you can choose something differently.
Yes, uh, exactly. That I think that's the part is being able to choose something different because I hear people say so often, "I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. I did it because I didn't have a choice." It's like, well, it may not have seemed like you didn't have a choice, but we always have a choice. And sometimes, you go with the lesser evil, so to speak, or you don't do anything, which is also
Mhm.
a choice.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that we also need to look at is how we're making choices and what choices we're making instead of thinking, I don't have a choice. Just know that you have a choice. And then as we start, again, if we go back to the breath and get really present and you get more
Mhm.
resourceful.
Yes.
Is when
Yeah.
you're in that state of anxiety or confusion, you don't
Mhm.
have you don't really have the resources
Yeah.
to make a good decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I like
Absolutely.
what
And when you,
you're
yeah.
talking about is really getting yourself to a point where you feel resourced enough that your brain is working with you
Mhm.
instead of against you, so to speak, because
Mhm.
your mind is always going to protect you best it can.
Yeah.
But your brain, the more physical part, depending on what your mind is doing and your body's doing,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm going on vacation. Call me back when, you got it figured out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, yeah, where are you making the decision from? It takes you back to what you talked about earlier about all the conditioning. Are you making your decision as I was when I married the same man twice? Making the decisions from the conditioning rather than what is actually right for you. Just really connecting with yourself. So yeah, that's a really powerful lesson. Thank you.
And I think one of the things, just as you bring that up, that we can ask ourselves when you start hearing things, because no, you're not crazy. We all hear there are voices in all of our heads, right? You're not schizophrenic, or maybe you are, but chances are you're not. Because we all have ongoing voices. Like you're talking to yourself all the time, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to slow it down and ask
Mhm.
yourself, whose voice is this
Mhm.
when something comes up? Because we do have so much conditioning, it's like, is this my mom's voice? Is this something I've heard her say before? Is this my dad's voice? Is it some caretaker? Is it some
Mhm.
teacher who might have been having a bad day and said something unpleasant that we've held on to because we've made a whole story about it? So when certain things come up, it's always good to reflect, especially if you're a journaler, to say, hey, whose voice is this?
Yeah.
And is it
Yeah.
true?
Yeah. Yeah. Journaling is really powerful. To see the narrative that you're running in your mind. And as you say, we're always having that conversation, and it's not just thoughts, it's a whole movie that we're playing often. But yeah, journaling for me, yeah, really helps you work through it and look at, is this true? Or, what would be more supportive? Yeah.
So if women want to find you, how
Mhm.
can they do that if they would like to work with you? Or maybe I should have asked first, are you still taking on new clients?
Yeah, yeah. If there's a couple of ways you can work with me, I have a for women that like to be, self-paced and all of that. I have an online program that also has me in there twice a month for live coaching support. And yeah, then my higher ticket one-to-one. So you can find me, my website is Joe Rose Conscious Change, and that's .co.uk. So I'm based in the UK in Northern Ireland. Um, but yeah, I'm on pretty much all of the social media platforms as well. Just Joe Rose, you'll find me there. Instagram probably is the best place to find me. But yeah. And yeah, if anybody had any questions or anything, I'm more than happy for people to reach out. Love to connect.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you and your conversation and just the fact that you were vulnerable enough to answer all the questions that I
Mhm.
asked, especially when I put you on the spot. So thanks you so much for that.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been so lovely to talk to you. Thank you for the invite and lots of love.
Okay.